All right, welcome to the deep dive where we kind of dig deep into research so you don't have to, you want to be in the know, you want to get to the good stuff, but maybe you don't have time to wade through all those academic papers and stuff.
Exactly right. We read them so you don't have to. That's our motto.
That's it. That's it. And well, today we're looking at how visual perception, like literally how we see things, shapes teaching and learning.
And we've got a whole treasure trove of research here, a bunch of studies from a special issue of the Educational Psychology Review. Came out in March 2021.
So this is like your all-access pass to understanding the cutting edge in this field without needing to become a researcher yourself.
Precisely.
So what we really want to understand in this deep dive is like how teachers actually see, like literally see and make sense of everything that's going on in their classrooms.
Yeah, it's a complex environment, lots to take in, lots of moving parts.
Definitely. And we're also going to be looking at how these fancy new technologies like eye tracking are helping researchers really zoom in on the details of teacher expertise and student engagement.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. And what makes it even more interesting is how it brings together like all these different fields.
Right, like a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah, you got teacher education, cognitive science, psychology, educational science. It's a real melting pot of ideas.
Okay, so before we get lost in all the details, let's lay down some groundwork here, some foundational ideas.
Sure thing.
Okay, so one of the big ideas that keeps popping up in this research is that teaching and learning, they're not like separate events happening in a vacuum,
Right. They're totally embedded in context.
Yeah, they're super complex, and the researchers call it reciprocally interactive.
Yeah, and that means every interaction, everything that happens needs to be understood within its specific context.
Like, okay, for instance, imagine a teacher praising a student.
Exactly. And Ryan and Dusty, they pointed this out a while back, but the impact of that praise can totally depend on the situation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, if you praise a student for finishing a super easy task, they might actually think you have lower expectations for them.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Right. It's like, oh, this must be easy if they're praising me for this.
Makes sense.
So the context really matters.
Absolutely. And it's not just those one-off moments, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's everything happening all at once, right?
Exactly. It's this massive interplay of factors: the students' motivation, their learning style, the subject, the environment, even the school culture.
Like the whole universe of the classroom, basically.
Yeah, and all these elements are constantly influencing each other and shaping what happens in the classroom.
So a teacher's actions are like a reaction to what's going on, but they also create the context for what's going to happen next.
Exactly. It's a real feedback loop, always evolving.
And this makes it kind of hard to find simple solutions, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because like Renkel says, effective teaching is often about juggling multiple paths,
Right.
It's not a straight line. You got to be flexible and adaptable.
So it's not like do steps 1, 2, 3, and you'll have perfect learning.
No, not at all.
And the student isn't just sitting there passively taking it all in, right?
Absolutely not. Learning is situated from their perspective, too.
Oh, for sure.
They're constantly reacting to what the teacher is doing, how the information's presented, everything.
Right. They're actively creating their understanding.
Exactly. Like Reeser and Stiebler pointed out, if a teacher always explains things perfectly, students might think the subject is too easy and not put in the effort.
Oh, I see. They're getting the wrong impression.
Right. Or if they never see messy real-world problems in math class, they might think every problem has just one right answer.
Yeah. They need to see the real struggle sometimes.
It's all about giving them the right challenges.
Makes sense. So it really is this constant back and forth, like a dance almost.
It is, yeah. That's why they call it reciprocally interactive.
And the researchers also bring in ideas from communication theory, don't they?
Yeah. Building on Clark's work, they see teaching and learning as a collaboration.
Like a team effort.
Exactly. The teacher and students have to work together to build a shared understanding of the subject matter, like finding a common ground.
Okay, so it's not just about transferring knowledge from the teacher's head to the student's head.
No, it's about creating something new together.
And it goes deeper than just the facts and figures, doesn't it?
It does, Richland and others. They point out that there's also this implicit negotiation of what the subject itself is about.
Like what it means to do science or math or history. Right.
Exactly. Like in a science class, are you just memorizing facts or are you actually doing scientific thinking?
Right, so there's this underlying agreement about the nature of the subject.
Exactly. And for this to work, there needs to be this constant coordination of perspectives through words and also nonverbal cues.
So communication is key.
Absolutely. And this was something Clark and Wilkes-Gibbs highlighted years ago, and Weinhuber and others have really emphasized it recently.
Okay, so we've got this picture of teaching and learning as this constantly evolving, context-dependent interaction.
Right, a complex dance.
Now, this special issue is presented as an emerging research paradigm. What's so new about how these researchers are approaching things?
Well, for a long time, research focused on finding those magic ingredients, the characteristics of teachers that lead to good outcomes for students.
Like trying to find the recipe for the perfect teacher, right?
Yeah, kind of. And there's been a lot of great work done, like Baumert, Hill, Kunter. They've used these huge studies with all sorts of fancy statistics.
But I guess the article is saying those big studies can only tell us so much, right?
Yeah, they can show us connections, but they don't really get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening in the teacher's mind.
Like we know that certain teacher knowledge is good, but we don't know exactly how it works.
Exactly. We don't see the cognitive processes, the mental gears turning.
So that's where this new paradigm comes in, right? It brings together four different areas of research that have been like separate silos.
Exactly, and it's a powerful combination.
Okay, so what are these four strands that are being woven together?
First, we have research on professional vision in teacher education, how teachers notice and interpret things happening in the classroom.
Like they're seeing things through a different lens.
Exactly. This concept was first developed by Goodwin and then really brought to the forefront by Sharon and Van Ness.
So it's about training teachers to really see what's important.
Precisely, to notice the details that matter for student learning.
Okay, that's strand number one. What's next?
Strand number two is all about expertise in cognitive science, how experts think differently than novices.
Right, like those studies with chess masters.
Exactly, like de Groot's classic work and Berliner's study where he showed pictures of classrooms to expert and novice teachers.
Right, and the experts saw things the novices missed.
Exactly. And this research shows that experts have these well-developed mental models, these knowledge structures that help them interpret what they see.
They got the cheat codes, basically.
Yeah, in a way, they can process information more efficiently and effectively.
Cool. What's the third strand?
Number three is the incredible advancements in eye tracking technology.
So we're literally seeing what teachers are seeing.
Exactly. For a long time, eye tracking was used in psychology labs, studying reading and stuff.
But now we can take it out into the wild.
Exactly. With these portable eye trackers, we can see what teachers are looking at during real classroom interactions.
Like a window into their attention.
Precisely. It's a powerful tool.
And finally, strand number four.
That's research on educational effectiveness and instructional quality.
So how do we know if teaching is actually working?
Right, and researchers like Hammer and Klein have identified these core dimensions of good teaching, like classroom management, cognitive activation, and creating a supportive environment.
So things like making students think deeply and making them feel safe to learn.
Exactly, and the hope is that eye tracking can give us more objective measures of these things.
Like actually seeing if students are paying attention instead of just guessing.
Right, it's about bringing more hard data to the table.
Okay, so we've got these four threads coming together. Professional vision, cognitive science expertise, eye-tracking technology, and research on instructional quality.
A real tapestry of research.
And the article goes on to discuss 7 specific studies, so let's dive into some of those. Starting with Seidel and her team, what were they looking at?
Seidel's group was interested in, they called it on-the-fly formative assessment.
So how well can teachers figure out what's going on with each student while they're teaching a whole class?
Exactly. It's like trying to diagnose individual needs in the middle of the action.
Sounds challenging.
It is. They use these student profiles, like descriptions of students who underestimate their abilities, overestimate, or are just generally uninterested.
Okay, so they had these different types of students.
Right, and they showed videos of these students to both experienced and novice teachers and tracked their eye movements.
So were the experienced teachers better at picking up on these different student profiles?
Yeah, generally they were more accurate in diagnosing the students.
Makes sense.
And what's really interesting is the eye tracking data showed that experienced teachers spent more time looking at the students who were underestimating themselves or seemed uninterested.
Oh, that's interesting. So they weren't just focusing on the high achievers?
No, they were also paying attention to those who might be struggling silently.
That's subtle but really important.
It is, and it's something to think about. Are we giving enough attention to those students who might need extra support?
Definitely. And the article also brings up this connection to the holistic processing idea from medical expertise.
Yeah, it's asking whether experienced teachers can quickly form an impression of a student, like how doctors look at a medical image.
Like they see the whole picture in an instant.
Right, but the authors are careful not to push that analogy too far.
Because I guess interpreting behavior is more complex than looking at an X-ray, right?
Exactly. There's more ambiguity, more factors to consider.
So a teacher's first impression is just a starting point.
Yeah, it's a hypothesis, not a conclusion.
It needs to be tested and refined through further observation.
Exactly. Don't jump to conclusions based on a quick glance.
Good advice. And next up, we've got Weiss and her team, and they're actually looking at teacher educators. That's interesting.
It is, yeah. They're looking at the experts who train the teachers.
And they're specifically focusing on classroom management.
Right. They used a video showing a classic critical incident, a teacher doing something that's considered disruptive based on Kunin's work on classroom management.
So a teacher making a mistake, basically.
Yeah, a common one, and they wanted to see how these experienced teacher educators would interpret it.
And what did they find?
Surprisingly, only a small percentage of them saw it as a problem, as intended.
Really? Even though it's a well-known classroom management no-no.
Yeah, most of them, including all the student teachers, didn't flag it as disruptive.
That's concerning. Makes you wonder if everyone's on the same page about classroom management.
It does, yeah. It raises questions about how we're preparing future teachers.
And what did the eye tracking data show?
Well, the teacher educators who did identify the disruptive behavior spent more time looking at the student involved in the incident.
So even if they didn't consciously label it as a problem, their attention was drawn to the right place.
Exactly, which is interesting, right?
It is. So what are the possible explanations for this discrepancy between what they said and where they looked?
Wes and her team suggest a couple of things. One is that maybe even among teacher educators, there's not a perfectly shared understanding of effective classroom management.
Like there's some disagreement about the best practices.
Yeah, it's possible. Or maybe it's just harder to interpret things when you're an outside observer, you know?
Like you're missing the context of the live interaction.
Exactly. It's like listening in on a conversation without knowing the whole backstory.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to Puta's study, which compares student teachers to experienced teachers in a real classroom setting.
Yeah, this one used mobile eye tracking to see how they perceived and supported students' thinking during actual math lessons on fractions.
So we're seeing the action as it unfolds.
Exactly. It's a more naturalistic study.
And they also had the teachers talk about what they saw afterwards, right?
Yeah, they collected what are called recall protocols.
Okay, so what were the main differences they found?
Well, this is where it gets a bit counterintuitive. In the recall protocols, the student teachers actually gave more detailed explanations of the students' thinking.
Huh. That's surprising. You'd think the experienced teachers would have the edge there.
You would, yeah, but the experienced teachers focused more on describing what the students did rather than analyzing their thought processes.
Interesting, but what about their actual teaching during the lesson?
That's where things get really fascinating. The video analysis showed that the experienced teachers were much better at giving support that helped students learn.
So they might not have been able to explain it perfectly afterwards, but they were doing the right things in the moment.
Exactly. And their eye tracking data showed more shared attention with students during these supportive moments.
So it's not just about knowing about student thinking. It's about being able to support it in real time.
Exactly. It's a kind of embodied expertise, almost like a gut feeling.
That's really cool. So there's a potential gap between being able to reflect on student thinking and actually being effective in the moment.
Right, and this challenges the idea of professional vision as this direct bridge between knowledge and action.
Like it's not as simple as see it, understand it, act on it.
No, sometimes expertise is more implicit, more intuitive.
It's like you've internalized so much knowledge that you don't even need to think about it consciously.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
All right, let's talk about Hotaj's work on nonverbal communication, specifically eye contact in math classrooms.
Yeah, this one's really cool. They used multiple person mobile eye tracking so they could see what both the teacher and the students were looking at.
Wow, like a synchronized dance of gaze.
Exactly, and they wanted to understand how eye contact is used to coordinate interaction and regulate those interpersonal dynamics.
So like who's taking the lead, who's following, who's feeling connected, all that stuff.
Exactly, and they looked at two specific aspects, agency and communion.
Okay, break those down for me.
Agency is about taking initiative, being in control, and communion is about fostering connection and belonging.
So eye contact can be about both directing attention and building relationships.
Exactly. And they found that both teachers and students use gaze to take initiative.
So it's a two-way street.
It is. And teachers often use gaze to direct attention. That's high agency. But they also use what they called friendly eye contacts to encourage student participation.
Like a little invitation to join in.
Exactly. It's subtle but powerful.
So eye contact is more than just maintaining order, it's part of the learning process.
Absolutely. It's a communication tool.
And what are some of the questions this research raises?
Well, they point out that we don't really know how important gaze is compared to other strategies teachers use to build relationships.
Like, is it just as important as, say, showing genuine interest in students' learning?
Right, and they also wonder if using gaze effectively is a skill you have to learn or if it's more of a natural ability.
That's a good question. Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, is it something we can teach or is it already hardwired in?
All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Rosengrant's study on student attention in higher education. This one seems to challenge a pretty popular belief.
It does. They looked at how long students in lectures can actually stay focused.
Because we've all heard that students can only pay attention for like 15 minutes, right?
Right, that's the myth, that their attention span is super short.
So what did their research show?
Well, they tracked students' eye movements during 70-minute lectures, and they found that students maintained a really high level of on-task attention, almost 90% on average.
Wow, so they're basically engaged for almost the entire lecture.
Yeah, which really contradicts that 15-minute rule.
So what does this mean for college professors?
It suggests that if lectures are designed well, with opportunities for interaction and engagement, students can stay focused for much longer than we thought.
So maybe we need to rethink how we structure those long lectures.
Yeah, and the authors also suggest that this research could be applied to online learning environments too, like MOOCs.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Seeing if people are actually watching those videos.
Exactly, and the article also mentions a connection to cognitive load theory.
Right, because eye tracking can potentially show us how hard students are actually working mentally.
Exactly, it's like a window into their cognitive effort.
That's really fascinating. Now let's talk about Goldberg's work on using AI to assess student engagement. That sounds pretty futuristic.
It is. They're trying to create an AI system that can automatically tell us how engaged students are.
Like a robot teacher assistant?
Kind of, yeah. They compared their AI system to human ratings of engagement based on things like gaze direction, head posture, facial expressions.
So, like, is the student looking at the teacher? Are they nodding? Are they frowning? All that.
Exactly. And the AI was also looking for synchrony, like if students are moving together, that can indicate engagement.
Oh, interesting. So how well did this AI system perform?
It did pretty well, actually. There was a decent correlation between the AI's ratings and the human ratings.
So it's picking up on some real signals.
It is, but the human ratings were still better at predicting students' self-reported engagement and their interest in the task.
So the human eye is still superior in some ways.
It seems so, yeah.
But what's the benefit of having this automated system if it keeps improving?
Well, it could be a much more efficient and cost-effective way to measure engagement on a large scale.
Especially if you're trying to study lots of classrooms at once.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool for research on educational effectiveness.
But the article also raises a good point, doesn't it? Like, what does engagement really mean?
Yeah, it's a broad term, and we already have other frameworks like cognitive load theory and self-regulated learning that might give us a more precise understanding of what's happening cognitively.
So maybe engagement is more useful as a general indicator rather than a precise measure.
That's a good takeaway.
Okay, let's talk about the last contribution. Wolf's theoretical paper on the cognitive differences between expert and novice teachers in classroom management.
Yeah, this one's all about mental models. They propose that expert teachers have these classroom management scripts.
Like pre-programmed responses to common situations.
Yeah, kind of. They're these knowledge structures that include information about typical triggers, consequences, and possible actions.
So if this happens, then I do that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's like having a mental playbook for dealing with classroom chaos.
And the idea is that experts have more and better scripts than novices, right?
Exactly. Their scripts are more numerous, more detailed, and more interconnected, which makes them more efficient and effective.
They've seen it all, basically.
They have, and they've learned from their experiences.
So how do these scripts develop? Is it just through trial and error?
Wolf's team suggests that it's a combination of experience and formal knowledge.
So you need both the theory and the practice.
Right. You have to learn the principles and then apply them in real-world situations.
But the article points out a potential problem here, right? Like, what if the initial teacher training isn't very good?
Exactly. If novice teachers don't have a solid foundation in pedagogy, especially classroom management, it might be harder for them to develop those expert scripts.
Like they're building on shaky ground.
Exactly. And there's even some research showing that experienced teachers can have similar biases to novices in certain areas.
So experience doesn't always guarantee expertise.
It doesn't, and maybe that's because pedagogical expertise is different from other types of expertise, like in medicine, where the training is more standardized.
Okay, so love wrap things up by talking about some of the bigger questions and criticisms of this whole research paradigm.
Yeah, there are some important things to consider.
Like, what are the main challenges and areas for future research?
One point raised is that maybe we're focusing too much on the reacting teacher. The idea that good teaching is all about responding to the unexpected.
Like putting out fires all the time.
Yeah, and this might be undervaluing the importance of planning and preparation.
Because a good plan can prevent some of those fires in the first place.
Exactly, and future research could look at how teachers actually put their plans into action in the messy reality of the classroom.
That's a good point. What else?
Another issue is this idea of professional vision as a direct mediator between knowledge and action.
Like we were talking about with Puda's study, right?
Exactly. Experienced teachers can be really good even if they can't explain exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
It's like they're operating on autopilot, but a really good autopilot.
Yeah, and this connects to the idea of knowledge encapsulation from medical expertise. Some things become so automatic that you don't need to think about them consciously.
So maybe eye tracking can help us see those moments where expertise is more implicit than explicit.
Exactly. It can reveal the hidden workings of the expert mind.
Cool. And what about the specific things we should be teaching teachers to notice?
Well, the article suggests that maybe we don't need to overemphasize things like eye contact or basic attention, because those might be more innate social skills.
Like, we already have a natural ability to read people's faces and body language.
Yeah, and maybe teacher training should focus on more complex aspects of teaching, like figuring out if students are actually understanding the material, not just looking attentive.
Because engagement doesn't always equal learning, right?
Right, you can be engaged in the wrong things.
Okay, last point. What's the final takeaway?
Well, the article argues that we need to move beyond just comparing experts to novices.
Like, we need to actually test specific teaching strategies.
Exactly. We need more hypothesis-driven research, like Seidel and Weiss's studies, to see what works and what doesn't.
So more rigorous experiments to figure out how to best train teachers.
Exactly. It's about turning research into practice.
Okay, so it seems like this research on visual perception is giving us a lot to think about.
It is. It's a fascinating and complex field.
We're starting to understand how teachers see the classroom, but there's still so much more to learn.
There is, yeah. It's an ongoing exploration.
And it makes you think about your own professional vision in whatever you do, right?
It does. How do you see your work, and what could you do to see it even better?
Maybe it's about finding that balance between deliberate analysis and intuitive expertise.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Until then.